All right, boys and girls. Looks like we're live. We left off right about here at 16:23. Kind of while we're waiting for people to get in here, I've been asked this a lot of times by a lot of different commenters about a lot of different auditors who I've made videos on. Why are you so obsessed with this person? And the framing of the question is disingenuous. I'm interested in what these people say and do. I was also asked what caused the rift between me and Earl. And I think the big thing that caused the rift between me and Earl is I found out that Earl was a registered sex offender. And believe this or not, I actually do care about this movement. I like the idea that we as a society can be free to the point where people videotaping from a public sidewalk won't be harassed or threatened or have the police called on them. That's my idea of what's better for society. And having people represent the movement, if you want to call it a movement, I just did not think that it was good optics for a convicted sex offender to be the, in quotes, godfather, end quote, of the auditing community. And especially like the way he treated, I heard some real bad things about the way he testified, the things he testified about in the Philip Turner case where the officers went to Philip Turner's car and Earl was hiding and filming. And I heard bad things about that, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, I think that's what caused the rift. I wasn't the one who exposed Earl. Someone else brought it to my attention. I'm sure other people had made videos on it before me, but I don't think that Earl really much cares for having people like me point out his past, that he is Earl David Warden, W-A-R-D-E-N, a registered sex offender, and not David Warden like prison warden. All right, so let's get back into the video. Let's see what nonsense he has to say. I don't have a hell of a lot of time, so we're going to change the playback speed up to 1.5, and let's get her going.
But let me show you what Deer Park PD is doing. Has been doing for almost 3 years now. That's how long this case has been going on. 3 years. They initially...
It would have gone on for less long if Earl hadn't waived time and then there would have been a constitutional drive for the prosecution to bring their case sooner. But Earl waived time, and Earl waived time because he was trying to gather evidence. So trying to blame the Deer Park PD or Harris County or whoever is kind of disingenuous.
Used one of their informants out of California, a certain lawyer, assistant, married, law firm. I don't want to say any names, Hemmings.
The Hemming firm is not a law firm. A law firm has a legal definition. I mean, you have to have like 2 or more attorneys. I believe it is the Hemming Firm, LLC, no, it's not an LLC. It's the Hemming Firm. That's right. But it's not technically a law firm. That's a name, not an actual entity. I think it's, I assume it's Krista Hemming operating as a DBA.
They used them. And keep in mind, they were my attorneys.
I don't think they were your attorneys, Earl. The state bar would disagree.
Contracted attorneys. We had
and again, if there was a contract, the state bar would have done something to enforce it, but I don't think so.
Attorney-client privilege.
And you're thinking not the attorney-client privilege, you're thinking of the duty of confidentiality.
So I shared a video of an interview with the Deer Park Police Department. I shared it with them. Now, in that interview, I played dumb, but
He played dumb. He played dumb really well. We've all seen the video. It's actually up on my channel, so you can see it. There's a version without me commenting on it. My understanding, and I am not the person or the persons who originally received copies of this, is that he posted online and disseminated a link to the video, to multiple people. So I don't think it was just the Hemmings that received this link. I think it was multiple people. and I'm not going to say who I received a copy of it from.
My kids told me Deer Park PD had been around asking questions, so I knew what was going on. It wasn't a big deal. But
He did not know what was going on. He was caught flat-footed thinking that it was going to be about Shell.
I told them the truth when they asked me a question. Did you do this? Did you do that? I told the truth.
I told the truth about hunting Nazis in South America.
Offered to take a polygraph.
So polygraphs, by the way, are inadmissible as evidence. They can be beaten. They are a useful interrogation tool, but they are not dispositive. They do not actually show that a person is lying. Polygraphers use them and to try to figure out if someone is lying, but it is not a definitive thing. It's just a tool to help people figure out if you're lying. So it's inadmissible. They are wrong very often, and so because they're wrong so often, I'm not aware of any state that allows them to be used in criminal cases. So there you go.
So let's see. Detective Reed to Lieutenant Hart. Warden came in today for an interview. He has agreed to take a polygraph.
Detective Reed to Detective Hart. He's agreed to take a polygraph. Who cares?
Lieutenant Hart responds, under no circumstances are you to allow...
Oh, he stopped reading. He shuffled the papers and put them away. Let's go back.
Keep in mind, they were my attorneys. Contracted attorneys. We had attorney-client privilege. So I shared a video of an interview with the Deer Park Police Department. I shared it with them. Now, in that interview, I played dumb.
Yes, Vital. I am going to talk through the entire video. The video, as you can see here, is Deer Park Criminal Case Live Chat. It was streamed on January 26, 2022. It's on the News Now Houston website. In fact, so you can watch it without me bothering you, I'm going to copy the link and share it into the chat. There you go, kids. You can go watch it without me, and I won't be bothering you at all.
But my kids told me Deer Park PD had been around asking questions, so I knew what was going on. It wasn't a big deal. But I told them the truth when they asked me a question. Did you do this? Did you do that? I told the truth. Offered to take a polygraph. So
we have papers. He's going to read off papers.
C. Detective Reed to Lieutenant Hart.
No date, nothing else, just Detective Reed to Detective Hart.
Warden came in today for an interview. He has agreed to take a polygraph.
And then put the papers away, because now we're no longer reading off papers. What he probably just read there was probably true. Earl has always been wanting to take a polygraph because he thinks he could beat a polygraph. I believe, and I don't remember precisely, but I believe that he did beat a polygraph in his previous case.
Lieutenant Hart responds, under no circumstances.
He's not reading anymore.
Are you to allow Warden to take a polygraph?
If David looks you in the eye and tells you something to your face, he's lying to you.
Because if he passes, the DA is going to look at that and maybe not take charges.
No.
This is not an independent, unbiased investigation. This was a witch hunt.
Again, you have the problem. The investigation can be biased. There is no problem with an investigation being biased. The evidence that they uncovered, though, was presented to a grand jury, an impartial grand jury. And the impartial grand jury came back with a finding of probable cause. And the DA also found that there was probable cause. That's why the DA presented it to the grand jury. And there was an arrest warrant that was issued even before it went to the grand jury. And that means that a judge was involved. And the judge who issued the arrest warrant found probable cause. So repeating over and over again like a mantra that the investigation was a witch hunt, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. It doesn't matter. Even if true, doesn't matter.
This was a paid attack on me. These people are
a paid attack that turned up evidence, sufficient evidence to convince a judge, a district attorney, and a grand jury that you probably committed a crime. Yeah, I mean, that's what it did. It turned up the evidence.
To put me in prison for the rest of my life for a crime I did not commit. For
those of you who are thinking that he was not facing life, I think he could actually get life. My understanding, again, I am not a attorney in the state of Texas. I am only licensed for California. But my understanding of Texas law, this is not legal advice. My understanding is that he is facing life in prison. So Good luck, Earl.
And they know it. And if they can't do that, then they need to ruin me publicly. What they didn't count on was you.
See, they're not trying to ruin you publicly, Earl. And again, you are a registered sex offender, which means that your information is out there publicly. They're trying to ruin you in court. That's why they file legal proceedings against you. That's why you're going to trial at the end of the month. So there you go.
Guys being smart enough to see through it.
Yeah, because it's the smart people who are seeing, quote unquote, through it. It's the smart people who are doing that. It's the smart people who are ignoring the fact that this guy is a multiple time offender who has lied consistently about everything his entire life. But it's the smart people who believe him.
And continuing to support me and have my back. They didn't think that would happen. Especially when they had their informants working. Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. As part of discovery, and I made no secret about this, I have the FBI Intelligence Division's list of informants that they had up till 2017 working within the movement.
Jesus fucking Christ. I don't even know why this Jesus fucking Christ.
They didn't think that would happen. Especially when they had their informants working. Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. As part of discovery, and I made no secret about this, I have the FBI Intelligence Division's list of informants that they had up till 2017 working within the movement.
First of all, no. Just no. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that the FBI had a list of informants who were working in the movement. Let's just pretend that. In order for that to be relevant, or in order for that to be part of the discovery package, that would have to be relevant to the charges that Earl is facing. I know, Felipe. I know. But let's just assume for a moment. Let's just assume that there is a list, and let's just assume there is a list, and let's assume that it could be got from the FBI via subpoena or whatever, or through discovery. Let's just assume that. In order for that to be something that he gets through discovery, it has to be relevant to the charges that he's facing. Now, last I checked, Earl is facing charges for committing sexual assault on a minor back in the 90s, before this movement existed, and it has nothing to do, it has literally nothing to do. If Earl had never picked up a camera and never started filming the police, it just has nothing to do with it. So it wouldn't be part of discovery. Now, such a list, if it exists, it would not be turned over via discovery. And I doubt it exists, personally. The FBI doesn't just throw their informants under the bus, even if that person was an informant back in 2017. They might want to use him further. Christ on a cracker, this guy's retarded. He's full on retarded, and he's telling people like look at some of these things that they're saying in here. Be careful, David, if what you say is true. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at all these people. Oh, these people are stupid. These people are stupid who believe him.
Some of these names are big names. Some of these
names that Earl is about to pull out of his ass are big names, you mean?
Are shocking to me because it's people that I helped.
Yeah, I explained that yesterday, Felipe. In discovery, the attorney gets the discovery, and it's just the attorney. If the attorney shares anything with him, the attorney would have to redact certain things, etc. So, yeah.
And it pains me that these people would sell out and to protect themselves and keep themselves out of jail for whatever they did, would come out publicly and attack me. But before we...
So does it pain him that they're informants? I just want to point that out. It doesn't pain Earl that these people are informants. It pains Earl that they would come out publicly and attack him. Because in Earl's world, it's all about Earl.
Don't even bother with them. I'm going to publish that list. I'm going to publish all these documents. As
Oh, please publish all the documents. That'll be fun.
soon as my case wraps up, I expect, because when this started, the DA got the judge to seal everything. We're not going to let you publish anything. Deer Park's publishing all kinds of stuff, but you can't.
I haven't seen Deer Park publish anything. And I didn't see anything outside of the ordinary in the history of the case. I didn't see any. I saw that that they sealed the I forget what they call it. I would call it the CPS, but I don't know what Texas calls it. But the Child Protective Services. I know they sealed that. That's sealed because I mean that has to do with a minor's record and things like that. Not necessarily criminal record, but it has to do with like their issues as a child. So that is sealed, but nothing else that I'm aware of.
Can't do anything or publish anything to defend yourself. Judge signed an order, sealing everything. I will be, when I publish this stuff, I will be violating.
Again, he didn't seal everything. He sealed the CPS records for the daughter or daughters. I don't know exactly what they are because I haven't seen them because they're sealed, but they're for at least one daughter, if not more.
That order. I expect to be jailed for contempt of court, and I'm okay with that. But you guys are going to see everything. Everything that the police had that showed I was innocent, you're going to see it.
Well, phenomenal. I mean, I would assume that would be part of discovery. They have to turn over anything exculpatory in the discovery process. But it would be fun. It would be interesting to see all the evidence. And yeah, I mean, if he has them, then his lawyer's already in trouble. But if he publishes it, then his lawyer's in double trouble, and that'll be real fun.
Let's look. I want to show you guys something. So going back to the interview, I'm sorry I got sidetracked. They had their informant there in California who had a copy of that interview that I allowed him to look at because he's my lawyer. I'm looking at, are we going to sue these people? What are we going to do?
Okay, let's put on our lawsuit hats. What would we file a lawsuit for? They asked him to come down to the police station, and he went willingly. So he wasn't arrested or coerced or whatever. They let him go at the end of it. And he could have shut his mouth, and he didn't do it. Like, I don't understand. Like, what would you sue him over? What would you sue these cops over? I don't, there's no cause of action, and there's no damages. And if you hadn't recorded it, I mean, literally, Earl is the one who recorded it and published it. It's like, what is he going to sue these cops over?
They got him to publish it. I have the audio recordings of them having.
I don't think Felipe or Krista published it. Not even in the lawsuit that Earl filed or the First Amendment amended complaint did it allege any publication by the Hemmings, except I think he alleges that the Hemmings gave it to other people which would be publishing, I guess technically, but I've never seen Felipe or Krista publish it, and I don't actually think he alleged. Now that I'm going back to it, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think he actually alleged it in the complaint. Anyway,
Conversations with them, and he announces to them, "I work for the Hemming law firm." They knew.
How is Earl privy to this conversation between Felipe and the police? Anybody ever wonder about that? Like how does Earl know these things? Is Earl just like a little fly on the wall in Felipe's house, just listening to everything Felipe says and does? That's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, just that he knows exactly what Felipe said to the police. It's kind of weird, huh?
He was my attorney. They knew the client privilege existed. They knew it was improper for them to have conversations.
Last I checked, Felipe is not an attorney, so there's no attorney-client confidentiality between Earl and Felipe. Now, and I'm not saying that Felipe is working for Krista, but if, for example, Felipe was working for Krista, then Krista would have a duty to manage her staff, and thus Felipe would have to maintain that confidentiality. But I don't know that Felipe works for Krista, number one. And number two, since he's not an attorney, then I don't think there is any duty of confidentiality placed on Felipe. And Felipe can obviously correct me if I'm wrong.
Conversations with him, let alone allow him to become an informant.
Assuming that Felipe was an informant. But so, by the way, just so everybody knows, the thing that Earl is alleging that Felipe informed on is the recording of the police interview. Obviously, this police interview took place at the police station in their interview room. It was obviously recorded. The police said it was being recorded. So there is a police recording of this. So he's accusing Felipe of publishing or of informing the police about a recording of an interview that the police already had. That's something. I mean, I don't understand it, but okay. Felipe says he worked for PNAC. Okay, so he wasn't working for Krista, so there is no duty of confidentiality. Whoopsie.
Misconduct. They know it. They knew it and did it anyway because they're that desperate. They need that money from Shell.
And we're back to the money from Shell. Like, you can always tell how terrible a conspiracy theory is when people are getting paid to do shit that they would do anyway. Like, cops are paid to be cops. Like, I've always said, cops are not your friends, ever. Even if you have a friend who's a cop, cops aren't your friends. And cops like to get people arrested for committing crimes. Even if people haven't committed a crime, it's not the job of the cop to rule people out from having committed a crime. It's the job of a cop to build up a jacket on you that they could give to the district attorney that would convince the district attorney to prosecute you. That is literally the job of the police. So saying that Shell has to pay these people to come after you when you're literally making threats about blowing up the stations, they're not like overt threats, but talking about how easy it would be to blow up the station and how you could do it, and you're just trying to help them out. Talking about how where the general manager or whatever of the refinery, where his daughter goes to school, when she gets off, where she goes, where they live, etc. I mean, you're making all these threats, and the police would love to investigate all those threats, especially when they find out that you're a multiple-time felon, convicted of a firearms charge, I believe, felon with a firearm, and also of rape. So, I mean, you are prime cop bait. They want to get you, buddy. And it's not for anything other than you are a career criminal, a multiple-time felon who is threatening to blow up or, alluding to blowing up a fuel refinery and to harm the children of the general manager or whatever. I don't know, the guy's maybe director or whatever. I don't know exactly what it is.
These are the worst kind of police officers that exist.
Yeah, the worst kind of police officers who investigate allegations of child molestation. Yeah, those are terrible police officers in everybody's book. I mean, aren't you on Earl's side on this? Screw looking into pedophiles and getting pedophiles charged with raping kids. I mean, screw that. These guys are just bad guys, right? Because they're trying to get a pedophile arrested and charged and convicted.
This is the worst kind of
alleged pedophile.
Corruption that exists. You don't like somebody, you don't like their politics, that's fine. There's a lot of people I don't like. A lot of people, I don't like their politics. I stay away from them, leave them alone. You don't go out and try to frame them for a crime they didn't commit. Try to put them in prison for the rest of their lives if they live that long.
Try to frame them so they're looking at statements from the 90s. I mean, this is a hell of a frame job. A frame job that was 20-ish years in the making. That's a hell of a frame job. Like they literally took like 20 years to do this. I don't think it's a frame job, buddy.
So that was their first attempt.
And their first attempt is going pretty well.
That didn't really work out too well for them because people realized the police lied during interrogations. And I have
The police lied during interrogation, kids. Earl was telling the truth when he was a Nazi hunter in South America because of his extensive contacts from Germany in the 80s when he was over there for like a year or a year and a half. But it's the police who were lying. When they were asking him questions, it's the police who were lying, guys.
the documentation to show 85% of the stuff they say in that interrogation is a lie.
Well, he has the documentation to show it, kids. The questions that they asked, those were lies. Questions aren't lies. See, they were asking questions, and he was giving answers. Now, they might have made misstatements of the truth in setting up the background for their questions. Cops often do that, which is why you never, ever talk to the cops, ever. But no, it's most of the time it was the cops asking questions and this dumbass giving answers.
Including the audio recordings of my daughters, the audio recording my ex-wife, all the interviews, I have it all. And
Earl has it all. Well, isn't that a doozy?
It's already uploaded. It's not here. I've already created a website. All I got to do is make it live.
It's already on a flash drive that I've given to my attorney, and he sent it to the Justice Department. How many times are people going to fall for that bullshit?
And when I do, everybody will have access to it. And it's going to be on a billboard in Deer Park for everybody to see.
I look forward to it.
So that didn't work out for them. People were smart enough to see what was going on. The average person was.
Well, I guess I'm not the average person.
So they turned up the activists, the informant activists, got them to start networking with other activists to, hey, you don't want to be associated with that guy. Look at what he's charged with. You don't want to be associated with him. Look at what he's charged with.
You want to be associated with him. Look at what he's been convicted of. How about that?
That makes you look bad. It's guilty.
Yeah. Hanging out with a convicted rapist and convicted felon with a firearm who likes to show up to gun rallies carrying firearms or things that look like firearms. He might make you look bad. That's some good advice. Like here's free legal advice for everybody out there. I don't care where you are. Don't hang out with convicted felons. Don't do it. Nothing good will come of it. I mean, unless you're a pastor or a therapist or a caseworker or something like that, don't hang out with felons. They're going to bring you down. They're not going to bring anything good into your life.
Guilt by association. And of course, a lot of the weak-minded people turned.
Well, there's a lot of truth. You're known by the company that you keep. If you hang out with criminals and hooligans, you're more likely to be a criminal and hooligan. If you hang out with people who abuse drugs, you are more likely to be a drug abuser. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. You should be and are judged by the company that you keep.
And if you didn't turn,
that scared drinking that he does.
The attack was on. I know there's some people in the chat, WTT there will attest to this. If you did not turn, they came at you 20 or 30 deep, attacking you, digging into your history, your family history, attacking you any way they could.
Hurty words on the internet are just words on the internet. If you're not a big enough person to be able to handle people saying words on the internet that you don't like, then maybe you should just turn off the internet.
To run you off the internet.
Oh, and by the way, WTT says he did attest to that. I do want to point out, though, that even Earl only trusts WTT 40%. So do with that what you will.
Attacking you, digging into your history, your family history, attacking you any way they could to run you off the internet, run you off of YouTube, shut down your channel. They would hit you with fake copyright strikes. They have done everything they could to shut down anybody that will not support, that will support me. Anybody that will not turn on me, they have gone after them. And that...
it's kind of funny. I did a little open records request from Leon Valley, and the crazy thing is that somebody by the name of David Warden, spelled his name Warden. Crazy, I know. He was asking Salvaggio to come after me because apparently somebody on one of my videos posted an address. Now, I don't think that's the real News Now Houston. So I don't even know how to check it. I don't think that's real News Now Houston, by the way. But it's kind of funny that Earl would be complaining about other people coming after him when I have never tried to get Earl deplatformed. I have never encouraged anybody to defund him. I have never called the police on him. I've never tried to report him for anything. And I've always said to everybody, number one, I'm not a narc. And number two, I've always said, don't try to defund the man. He is entitled to a defense. Yeah, I know it's fake. So it's just really weird that the hypocrisy that he exhibits.
Includes some of my children. Deer Park PD knows it. Mitch McKenzie calls himself Eye of Texas. Has been to my residence taking pictures.
Mitch McKenzie. Sorry for using your real name, sir, but apparently it's out there. So back in the day, I got a photograph from Mitch McKenzie. Now, the reason why he took that photograph is because, number one, he lives in Texas. And number two, at the time, Earl had been saying that he was the victim of an attempted assassination by the police. His cars were all shut up. They recovered 18 bullets, and he sent it to a forensic expert. And the forensic expert determined that these bullets were the kind of bullets that cops like to use. And so Mitch decided to, for the benefit of everybody who doesn't believe all the bullshit that Earl spews, to drive by Earl's house and take a picture of Earl's vehicles. Excuse me, house. Excuse me. This was pre-shed, so there was just the travel trailer. And there were the two minivans and I think a Jeep or something like that parked out front. I don't remember exactly what it was, but all of these vehicles were pristine. Amazingly enough, and you'll never believe it, there were no bullet holes in any of these things. So that is why that picture existed. Now, I don't know what Earl's going to say about this, but I have an inkling from some of the comments that were left on my video. Let's see how it goes.
I don't care, public street, drive up down the street. Don't have to do that. You can look on Google, but who cares?
Well, so the reason why we didn't rely on Google is because Google doesn't update very often. So we wanted to see, hey, all these bullet holes. Let's check to see if there's bullet holes, right? And those wouldn't show up on Google.
He caught my granddaughter coming back from the mailbox at the end of the driveway.
At the end of the driveway. I don't really recall there being a driveway. Maybe I'm wrong. But I didn't see any young ladies in that picture. So, okay.
Hey, little girl, why don't you jump in here and let me molest you? Little girl, why don't you jump my granddaughter coming back from the mailbox at the end of the driveway? Hey, little girl, why don't you jump in here and let me molest you?
Just like yesterday, that's a cartoon villain. That is something a cartoon villain would say. That people don't say that. Hey, little girl, jump into my car and let me molest you. Nobody says that. No, nobody says that. That's a cartoon villain.
Good way to talk to an 11-year-old girl.
And had someone actually talked to the 11-year-old girl like that, Earl may be lying, you think, Mitch? Had anybody actually said that to Earl's daughter, I'm sure the police would have got involved because Earl loves to go tell the police, and I'm sure the police would have investigated. And considering the state of affairs that we're in, it leads me to believe that Earl's lying.
Fucking coward.
You know what a coward is? A coward is someone who sits in his she shed and with a backdrop, a green screen backdrop, and calls other people cowards. I mean, I don't know. Seems kind of cowardly to me.
All this time he was hiding behind a fake name.
All this time he's hiding behind a fake name. Boy, okay, so maybe his real name isn't Mitch McKenzie.
Anonymity. Nobody knew who he was. What he failed to realize was I had a camera out there, got his plate number, run his plate number, knew who he was, and I let him know. I mean, I never contacted him. He is always contacting me. You see me.
Well, I mean, if you had a camera out there, then show us. Show us this interaction. Show us where Mitch McKenzie interacted with your granddaughter. I mean, it's that simple. You know, he's always telling, he's never showing.
In a chat somewhere and come make comments and post video links and talk smack. Never once have I ever initiated contact with him.
Now, I could be wrong on this, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe there's a no contact order or something along those lines that Mitch McKenzie got. I could be wrong, but I believe that McKenzie got the no contact order, or at least had the DA warn Earl about not contacting Mitch McKenzie. I believe that's the case, because I just want to point this out that when Earl found out where I was working at the time, he went on to Google and he posted some bullshit about me going to Texas and me being a pedophile and tried to get me fired. He also had all of his people try to call where I was working at the time, and you know, what do they call that? Phone bomb or whatever. So, you know, I mean, it's really hypocritical of him to call out other people.
But he realized I knew who he was and where he was, ran straight to the sheriff's department, made a complaint, said I was harassing him.
Well, they wouldn't do anything about it if you weren't. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Straight up lie.
Everybody lies. Everybody lies but Earl. Everybody lies but Earl.
But now I do know where he is, know where he lives, knows where his ex-wife lives, know where his kid lives. Hey, you put family.
Holy fucking hell. Earl, you stupid son of a gun. Quit saying dumb shit like that. Don't threaten people. Stop. Don't threaten kids. I'm assuming that the daughter is a kid. I don't know. But Jesus effing Christ. Earl, you're a retard.
Family on the table, family's on the table. That's the rule.
What does that mean, Earl? What does that mean? If anything happens to his wife or his kid, like literally, if anything happens to them, you're suspect number one, you idiot. Jesus.
You don't mess with people's family, leave the family out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Leave the family out of it, Earl. Take your own goddamn advice.
You want to attack me? Come get me. I'm okay with that. You bring family into it, you put family on the table, fine.
No one put family on the table but you, Earl.
You wanted the old David? You got it.
No one wants the old David, and you're Earl, not David. The old David was busy riding around at night in a car that looked like a police cruiser, trying to pull women over and raping them.
So what else did old Mitch do? Well, let's see. He thought it'd be funny to go to some of my kids' houses that were not participating in the investigation against me, that were on my side, and take pictures of their houses and their spouses and them and their children and post online. He wasn't the only one. There were others.
Post where? Show us the receipts, dude. Show us the receipts. Where did he post them online? Now, I do know that Mitch interviewed the detective, the guy who was a detective at the time who investigated Earl's initial rape charge. So I do know that, but I've never seen anything from Mitch about Earl's kids.
As well. Posting stuff about my sons, just whatever they could dig up and find, anything they could get.
It went from Mitch to they. Interesting.
Pictures of me and old girlfriends off of Facebook, whatever they could find. And then, of course, while all that's going on, of course, they're threatening me. We're going to come burn your house down.
Well, that's a serious allegation. We're going to come burn your house down. That would be worthy of merit of investigation by the police. I'm sure they would have actually investigated it if someone actually said, we're going to come burn your house down. And you don't own a house, Earl. You own a travel trailer with a she shed out in front of it.
We're going to cut a hole in your boat and sink it with you and your grandkids in it.
Again, cartoon villains making cartoon threats.
We're going to come have you punched in the face. We're going to kill you.
Again, if anybody actually was making these threats, the police would get involved because these are actual threats.
You're going to die. And Deer Park Police knew about it. The Harris County Sheriff's Department Intelligence Division knew about it.
The Harris County Sheriff's Intelligence Division knew about it, Lord.
The FBI knew about it.
It's kind of depressing that that people watch this bullshit and can sit through. I've been through 27 minutes and like this is torture. Like, I mean, it was some of the things that he says are outlandish to the point where, I mean, it's comical, but this is just torture. That the dude is just, he's not only is he a liar, he's just bad at lying.
The Harris County District Attorney's Office knew about it.
God knew about it.
Targeting somebody's children because you don't like them. That is the lowest fucking thing.
The only person who's targeted anybody's children is you, Earl. You targeted the Shell guy's children, the Shell refinery guy's children. You targeted apparently your own children, allegedly. And now you're targeting Mitch's children. Like, you're the only person who's targeting kids, dude.
I can't think of anything any lower than that. I can't think of anything more disgusting than that.
Yeah.
But hey, if that's how you want to play it, game on.
So, I can't think of anything more disgusting than that. So I'm going to do it. What a piece of work.
Deer Park PD, through their CID division. There's a lieutenant over there.
Their CID? I have no idea what a CID division is.
Can't think of his name right now. Hart, who, remember, in the
Hart, you're so sly.
emails was saying, don't give him polygraphs. Don't do anything that makes him look innocent. Don't do anything that makes him look innocent. So they have been on this social media campaign to get me.
Why would the police be on a social media campaign to get you when you're currently facing a trial that, if convicted, you could be in prison for life? Why would the police waste that time and effort on you?
Got to earn that bounty money.
Bounty money. There's bounty money now. There's a bounty on Earl's head, kids. Someone thought Earl was important enough, streaming from his she shed out in front of his travel trailer, to put a bounty on him. Okay.
And let me go over here. So here's a recent thing. See if you got.
Okay, this says PayPal Patty is a dick, apparently, by Justin Whaley. Now, he's talking about somebody named Hart. And now here's someone named Justin Whaley. According to some people and some LEOs, Earl is in more trouble now with Deer Park PD. He keeps harassing them with threats to sue and shoot up the police department station. According to a Leo who I asked in person, they are filing charges on him through the state office. The officer, LT, said, "We get calls from his viewers every day and him. He stands outside Deer Park PD until he can get a reaction on us, but we have asked all of the officers to ignore him. We also have alerted DPS to his actions, including threats to officers. His viewers call us and tell us to dismiss the rape charges and fire all cops." Okay, so like what's wrong with, like, if he's doing that, and I'm not saying he is, if he's doing that, then yeah, I can imagine that they would file some sort of charges on him.
You guys can see that or not. This is a Facebook post. I'll read it to you. The gentleman who posted it, his name is Justin Whaley, Whaley. It's a public post on Facebook. And
And I'm sure that Earl's going to authenticate that Justin Whaley actually has some sort of firsthand knowledge of any of this crap.
this guy is associated with a local search and rescue group. It's called TEX, Tex, capital S, capital A, capital R, Tex, SAR. And according to him,
It's a nonprofit. Okay. It's a 501c3 nonprofit first responder organization. Okay. It serves all citizens of the state of Texas and deploys at the request of law enforcement, fire departments, and emergency management agencies. It provides specialized services such as ground search and rescue, flood and swiftwater rescue, canine search, rescue and recovery, disaster relief services, wildland fire, aerial search, UAV supports, dive team operations. It's fully self-sufficient, including incident management, team capabilities, logistics, and communications. TechSAR services are free to requesting agencies and are staffed by volunteers who are trained professionals in their fields. Okay. So he's associated with this allegedly, but who cares? It's a 501c3 non-governmental organization.
he knows people in law enforcement in Deer Park because, you know, he's done search and rescue out there with them. And
How do we know that? How do we know that? Besides Earl saying that, how do we know that?
here's what he says. According to some people and some LEOs, Earl.
So he doesn't say that it's any of these LEOs are actually Deer Park LEOs. He just has some people and some LEOs, assuming he's not lying. And why would we do that?
Earl, that's my first name, by the way, is Earl. I don't use it because I've never used it. Nobody's ever called me Earl before.
Well, call me nobody then.
You know, my mom and daddy call me David. Everybody I know calls me David. The trolls call me Earl because they think that gives them some kind of power.
I call you Earl because your name's Earl, and you like to try to hide it by saying that you're David Warden, like prison warden. But your real name is Earl, E-A-R-L, David Warden, W-O-R-D-E-N, and you're a registered sex offender.
But it doesn't. It really means nothing to me. Hold on, I'm trying to do something here. One of the moderators, News Now NME, go ahead and block him. Earl is in more trouble now with Deer Park PD. He keeps harassing them with threats to sue and shoot up the PD station.
What's wrong, Earl? Was someone saying mean things about you online?
Okay, so I am 100% telling Deer
Actually, Cheeky Monkey, no. He sued under the name of David Warden.
Park right now, and I'll say it over and over and over again. I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue your asses off. And I know you think you got qualified immunity, but we'll see. I think there's enough there to get rid of that qualified immunity, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not against the law to threaten to do something legal. Okay? So there's the first lie from this guy. Now keep it.
Yeah, it's not illegal to threaten to do something that's legal. Yes, but shooting up a police station isn't legal.
Mind, this guy lies so much in this, and yet the police trust him to go out and do search and rescue where he might find evidence of a crime. I couldn't trust the guy. I would never let him near a search and rescue.
I think, Felipe, that you're mistaking his first amended complaint with his original complaint. His original complaint was David Warden.
Rescue operation where we might find a body or something because he might plant evidence. That's just my opinion. So
yeah, this guy might plant evidence. Everybody's corrupt but Earl.
Keeps harassing with threats to sue and shoot up the PD. I have never once said I was going to shoot up Deer Park PD. Those words have never, ever come out of my mouth. Not.
I thought he recently threatened to meet up with the lieutenant armed.
One single time ever. Ever. If I had said that, I'd be in jail for terroristic threats.
Well, see, they're filing charges with you, brother. Sometimes these things take a while.
Or something along those lines. Deer Park PD wants me off the street. LaPorte PD wants me off the street. Okay? Anything they could find to charge me with, they would. LaPorte's already tried, and I'll go into that another time. But all right, let's go back to this. Shoot up the PD station. According to a LEO who I asked in person, they are filing charges on him through the state office. They wouldn't be filing charges through the state office. They'd be filing charges through the Harris County District Attorney's office.
So right there, Earl just undermines the credibility of Justin Whaley. So Earl's literally calling Justin Whaley a liar. He said it. He said it already a couple times. Now he's saying that this guy's wrong about this. So he's a liar and he's wrong. And yet Earl is holding this out as evidence that Deer Park is doing these things. Fancy that. It always amazes me when people understand that someone's lying, but then as soon as that person says something that they want to hear, all of a sudden, oh no, they're not lying when they say this, because this is what I want to hear.
They would be the appropriate agency to charge me for whatever crime this guy thinks I've committed. More lies. Hey, Salty Rant. The officer, lieutenant, man, is there a lieutenant that we can think of that's been involved in any of this?
Ed 2276, didn't he pull out a shotgun out of his trunk one time when he was at a police department? It looked like a shotgun, but apparently it just looked like a shotgun. It was a pepper ball dispenser.
A lieutenant, huh? A lieutenant said, and he talked to him personally, remember?
Remember the guy that I just told you was a liar? Remember what he said earlier? That part was true, but all the rest is just a liar.
Get calls from his viewers every day, and him. Only time I ever called Deer Park PD, I'm trying to think, the last time I called Deer Park PD. I don't think I've ever called Deer Park PD in the last 3 years. Unless they called me first.
The snitching business is bad for him, I guess, because he does love to snitch and call the police on people.
Now, I have made some complaints on officers out there.
Well, I haven't called the police department this year. Now, I have made some complaints on officers out there.
And got a phone call, and I returned that phone call.
But I returned a phone call.
But usually if I have a complaint against an officer, I go to the PD. I go in the
Usually, not always, but usually.
lobby and I ask for a supervisor and I make my complaint. I don't call them. And subscribers, if you're calling them, that's on you. I'm not telling anybody to call them yet. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we're not going to call the PD. We're going to be calling realtors in Deer Park. We're going to be calling business owners in Deer Park. We're going to be calling, well, I don't want to get too far into that.
Why would we call realtors and business owners?
Let's see. We get calls from his viewers every day, and him. He stands outside the Deer Park PD until he can get a reaction on us, but we have asked all of the officers to ignore him. Anybody seen me stand outside the Deer Park PD? Hasn't happened.
Well, just because you haven't made a video on it doesn't mean it's not happening. But again, you're accusing this guy of a liar, but pointing out you're saying that he's telling the truth, and at the same time he's lying.
Hasn't happened. It may happen. I may go out there and protest, but it has not happened. It is a lie. And I'm going to tell you why they're lying here in just a minute. And the officers don't ignore me. I routinely cop watch in Deer Park and LaPorte and Pasadena, and I have good interactions with most of the officers. Haven't really had any major issues.
Wait, I thought they all wanted to lock you up for anything. Good interactions, but they want to lock you up for anything? Like, that's weird. That's kind of contradictory, don't you think?
Choose one officer with a flashlight, which I made a complaint on, and it came to naught. But other than that, I don't have any problems with the patrol officers. The patrol officers, in the files, when they would send patrol officers out to do investigations on whatever about me, the patrol officers always came back and told the truth. He didn't commit any crimes, blah, 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 blah. My issue is not with the patrol officers in Deer Park. My issue is with management. That's where the problem is. If you have a crooked leader, you're going to have crooked cops. But
Yeah, that's probably true. If you have a crooked leader, you probably would have crooked underlings.
Observed of the patrol officers in Deer Park, they seem like they got their stuff together for the most part.
Now, that's kind of weird, though. Now, let's think about that. Earl just said that if you have crooked leaders, you're going to have crooked underlings, right? Crooked management of the police station, you're going to have crooked patrol officers. And then he goes on and he says that the patrol officers are all good. So if the patrol officers are all good, and the management is all corrupt, and corrupt management leads to corrupt patrol officers, then none of that logic makes sense. The logic breaks. So Earl's lying out of his ass.
That's my opinion. Back to this.
The dentures cause spell check that makes him misstate how his name is spelled.
Officers ignore him. We also have alerted DPS to his actions, including threats to officers. I've not threatened. I haven't threatened any officers. His viewers.
Well, you kind of make these like half-ass threats, like I'm going to meet up with the lieutenant armed.
call us and tell us to
You know, Chi-Town citizen, you probably shouldn't talk about that.
dismiss the rape charges and fire all cops. All right, guys. First off, Deer Park PD can't dismiss anything. That's up to the district attorney. In Texas, the only person, a judge can't dismiss the case. The only
A judge can't dismiss a case? A judge can't dismiss a case. A judge can't dismiss. I think technically the only person who can dismiss a case is the judge. The prosecution can request a dismissal, but then it would be up to the judge or the clerk who would be acting, I guess, for the judge to dismiss the case. But yeah, a judge definitely can dismiss the case. Absolutely, 100%. Like you file a request for dismissal, if the defense files a request for dismissal and the judge grants it, it is the judge dismissing the case.
The person that can dismiss it is the district attorney's office. So far as I know, there's nobody calling there telling them all that stuff. It's a lie. The whole thing is a lie. But it comes from the lieutenant.
See, everything's a lie except for the part where it says it comes from the lieutenant. Again, he's just full of shit.
This is them setting me up to be able to kill me and justify it. This guy's out there spewing those lies. Now keep in mind, he is linked to law enforcement.
He said he was linked to law enforcement, but he's a liar, and therefore we're going to believe that he's linked to law enforcement and still call him a liar.
Tex SAR, Tex Search and Rescue. They're out of Austin. They have a Katy office. This guy works out of the Katy office.
That's 47 or so miles away. That's quite a close link there.
He's spreading this rhetoric and lies. So if a Deer Park officer shoots and kills me, he's going to say, well, I saw it on Facebook. He threatened to kill officers.
If a Deer Park police officer shoots and kills Earl, this other guy is going to say that I saw on, wait, maybe it's the police officer who's going to say that.
So if a Deer Park officer shoots and kills me, he's going to say, well, I saw it on Facebook. He threatened to kill officers.
Oh, because that's how you would defend yourself against a claim for an unjustified shooting, I guess, or something. I don't know. That would be like the weakest defense an officer could come up with. Now, if they saw you pull out a, let's just say, a pepper ball gun that looked like a real gun and thought you were armed, they might shoot you, you know, especially if you were threatening them with it or something like that. Cops like to shoot people who are holding firearms or anything that might look like a firearm, like a cell phone. But that's just stupid.
He's a sovereign citizen. That's what they put in the Homeland Security Bulletin. They're setting it up so they can murder me. And they've probably been paid to do that too. They were paid to try and ruin my life and try to get me killed in prison. So why not just walk down the street, post all...
Why would anybody pay to get Earl killed in prison? I mean, I could understand like one of his victims might do that, but like who else really cares that much? I mean, from my understanding, and again, I've never been to prison, so I could be entirely wrong about this. From my understanding, the pedophiles have a special place in prison that isn't so very fun for them. And so I don't know if anybody really wants to, you know, get at Earl to make Earl's life miserable. I don't know that they would kill him because that might just put him out of his misery. I don't know.
All this stuff, and oh, well, we saw that. Well, you know, I'm protected. I have qualified immunity. He carries a gun. We know he carries a gun, and that makes him a danger to us. So we murdered him, and we'll get away with it.
We know he carries pepper ball guns and black powder pistols.
But that they think. All that's been reported to Deer Park PD. Keep in mind, what started the investigation into me was that.
What started the investigation into you was back in 1995 or 96, somewhere around in there. Your daughters alleged that you sexually assaulted them. That's what started it. It is It is an investigation that started in 1995. Now, it was brought to their attention that this file had gone cold and hadn't been, and the investigation was still ongoing when you acted a fool and started running your mouth about the Shell refinery.
I critiqued Shell security, talked about how bad they were, talked about how, if you just look them up, their family members come up.
Yeah, I just talked about how if you look them up, their family members come up. He actually said that he had, I don't want to get this wrong. He had someone look into it. I think he actually had someone investigate it.
I mean, if you were a terrorist, which is what they claim to be scared of, if you're a terrorist, you just go kidnap one of their kids and tell them to take a bomb into the plant, or I cut your kid's head off.
Yeah, see, that's not threatening at all. That's not threatening at all.
I didn't say all that, but you get the point.
Oh, you said pretty close to that. I mean, you said really close to that.
And the head snake over at Shell said, "Oh, I think that's a threat." Now, in that video, which is still up on News Now Houston, I'll try and put a link to it in the description of this video a little later. I clearly stated I do not support acts of violence against anybody. I didn't at that time. I'm a little more radicalized now.
Jesus Christ. Shut the hell up, Earl. You are so bad for yourself. And this whole thing, this whole nonsense, we saw it with, God, what's that loser's name? The loud guy who liked to say, fuck the pigs or whatever out of Colorado. Brandt, I think. Brandt would try to do stuff like that. I hope and pray that like someone kills you or something like that. I mean, it was just totally like, the threat was there, and judges aren't stupid and juries aren't stupid, and they could pick up on the threat just like your followers pick up on what you're actually asking them to take action. I mean, this isn't rocket science. I mean, there's no magic words that can protect you from it unless you sincerely and truthfully say, I don't want you to do this. And then don't actually say to do the thing,
Do not support acts of violence against anybody, nor will I share any of the information that I have. I have revised that. Tim Hill reported said that I had threatened one of his daughters. I had no real interest, okay? And this was just casual stuff that somebody sent me, information.
Just casual stuff that someone just sent him.
And didn't care.
No real interest. I just made a video on it. Totally not interested. Totally not interested.
But, you bring family into it. You put family on the table. Now I know about all three of his daughters. I have to.
Wait. You're the one who brought the family into it, dude. You're the one who brought the family into it. And now you're doubling down. You know about all his daughters. Jesus effing Christ.
Taking time to look. Now I know about all the security guys. I know everything about everything. And I'm not doing a thing with it. Not a thing. I'm not going to come do a thing. All I'm doing is sharing that information with other.
Sharing that information with other people. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I have had a very, very limited run as a defense attorney in criminal matters. Very, very limited. And the worst thing ever is when your client runs his mouth. That's like the worst thing ever. Because nothing like it puts you in a terrible position. Either you could say that your client was lying then or he's lying now. And, Earl's not doing himself any favors.
Other people. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Share that information. All right.
All I'm going to do is share that information. Criminal conspiracy, that's all I'm going to do.
So, there's what Deer Park is doing. They are creating a campaign online to paint me as this anti-law enforcement, dangerous criminal who's saying he's going to murder us. Now,
yeah, but you're the one streaming.
You guys have been watching me for any length of time. And I know I'm seeing some of the names here. And I know there are people here that have been with me since the start.
He always drinks like he's like super stressed out.
I've always said the same thing. I'm not anti-cop. I'm anti-bad cop. And I'm certainly anti-mercenary domestic terrorist cop.
Earl is apparently anti-cops who investigate accusations of sexual assault on minors aged 13 to 15 or whatever the particular charge that Earl's facing. He's anti those kind of cops because those kind of cops are inconvenient for him.
If you're a good guy out there doing the right thing, I have no issue with you and would be probably the first one to stand up and fight with you if you were in trouble on the side of the road.
Yeah, I don't think the cops are looking for you to back them up on the side of the road.
But crooked cops, nope, can't do nothing for you.
I don't think any cops are looking for help from you, Earl.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
Cheeky Monkey, I'm anti-cop, full stop. They are a necessary evil, but that's about it.
But yeah, I'm not anti-cop. Not out to hurt
I'm anti-cop.
anybody, unless they're trying to hurt me. And in that case, you have an absolute right. I don't care who's trying to harm you. Don't care if it's a thug on the street or a thug in a costume. If somebody's trying to hurt you, it is your God-given right to defend yourself.
Well, God-given rights are up to the interpreter, your legal rights from the state may or may not allow you to use self-defense against a cop. And check with a local attorney. Different states have different rules. I would always suggest that you err on the side of not resisting arrest, even if you believe it's an unlawful arrest, and fight it out in court. And your attorney will thank you for it. Your bank account will thank you for it. If it is an unlawful arrest and you get all beat up wrongly and you don't resist, then come see me, because I would love to have you as a client.
They've tried to hurt me. They've tried to kill me, and they're plotting something here,
They tried to kill me. Remember all the time? 18 bullet holes in my cards that never existed.
together some kind of internet scam to get me hurt. And it's coming out of Deer Park. You saw the comment. And Deer Park has that. I sent it to them. I'm documenting it because they're not doing anything with it. I gave them
They're words on the internet, dude. That is not a crime. It was not a crime for that guy to post anything, dude. Seriously.
information about the officer that's threatening to kill me. And he he contacts me almost daily, threatening to kill me. And I know where he lives now. And so I'm going to give him that chance. I'm going to arm myself and go.
He contacts me daily, and I know where he lives now. And I'm going to arm myself.
Wait for him in front of his house and give him the opportunity.
I'm going to, oh, Jesus. Oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Dixon Ormus asks Merb, will the jury know of Earl's past conviction for rape? I don't know about that. I think the prosecution will probably try to get it in. I think the defense will probably try to keep it out. It might show a propensity to commit the crime, or it might be far enough removed, raping an adult might be far enough removed from sexual assault on a minor that the judge will keep it out. But I assume that the prosecution is going to try to bring it in, and the defense is going to try to keep it out, and we will see which way the judge rules. But as far as saying that I'm going to go armed and stand in front of the guy's house, don't ever. That is a bad look. If you end up shooting that dude and they have you on video saying that you are going to go to the guy's house armed and confront him, it might take the teeth away from your self-defense claim. In law, there are very few absolutes. Secret Squirrel says he's not allowed firearms. Texas doesn't count black powder weapons as firearms, and so he's allowed to carry those. And under Texas law, not federal law, but under Texas law, he is allowed to own firearms, but he has to keep them at his house. He can't carry them. And under federal law, he is not allowed to own firearms. but yeah, it's just never. I mean, first of all, don't do it. Don't arm yourself to go to somebody's house to confront them. Just don't do that. Please don't do that. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to go against my advice and do that, then don't make a video about it ahead of time saying that you're going to do it. Yeah, just don't do it. Anyway, I've had about as much of this as I could stomach. We only made it 16 minutes the first stream. We've made it another 25 minutes this stream. Don't trace my IP. Yeah. Lord. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. I don't think I'm going to do any more of this. I can only handle so much of Earl, and he's just too much of a liar for me. I mean, just the lies come so fast and often that it's just hard to keep up with. It's just exhausting. Anyway, thanks for watching, and you guys have a great day.